All right, what's up? What's up? Good morning and welcome back. We got RIME hitting the scans here. Only up 16% with a million shares of volume, a little early in its run, so not super interested in this one just yet. Yeah, RIME, I'm not too sure about this one. Time, we got about 8 minutes to the open bell. ORBS, let's pull this one up here. Slightly below the VWAP right now, but could potentially have a second leg here into the open. Highs are at 130. We're currently at 110. It could be backside though, I will say, but we'll see. As usual for the open, you have to wait around until something gets a little bullish and starts to move up until traders really jump in and start to get a bit of a wave going. I hope we see some good volume today. So I was telling myself yesterday, right? Yesterday and especially Monday, where I kind of like, wet the bed a little bit here. Um, got to bring it back to two main focus points, or let's just say two things we can like be better at. One, at the lows, we got to be a little bit more firm. We got to take a few more of those opportunities. As usual, you can have expectations. But sometimes the stocks will, kind of have their own kind of DNA strand, right? They'll do their own thing, their own motion. And so it's why we mentioned so much in the past, like the word reactive, right? Being reactive and just taking the trades where they are, regardless of, how much they might pull back or not. And the number one thing that, being able to get out with a tight stop does for you, it allows you to keep your risk low, and you can always get back in again, even if the stock comes down some more, right? So I think in that aspect we got to be a little bit better. We got to be a little bit better in that aspect of somewhat recycling shares at the lows and getting the bottom, because keeping it tight, it'll give us you know ammunition, right, to get back in and try again. So there's a couple of stocks, TLYS, CDXS, ORBS, and a few others. RIME pulling back a bit. CDXS is, on a bit of an incline, which is good. After our highs, we had around $2. So it's pretty close to that level here. This one had a strong outlook for Q4, which is not bad. Decent headline. The float is a little higher though. That's, probably the only thing for CDXS. Yeah, RIME just doesn't look good. Bro, I hope this isn't this. Damn. Is this if this is a company I'm thinking it is HIMX? What is this company? HI. Let me take my screen off of the dual screen. Oh, I'm gonna be so salty if this is what I think it is. Oh no, okay. This looks like a regular small cap. Yeah, anyhows, it's a good day in the market here. It's a good day to be in front of the screens. As you guys know, the weather here in the Northeast has been much, much better recently, but still, it's always a good time to be inside and inside trading. Hopefully that doesn't sound bad. Little bit of a joke right there. A little bit of a joke. But anyhow, in all seriousness, we got 2 minutes to the open bell. CDXS is the one I have up right now, but if something else does move and ends up being the strong stock of the day, that's where I want to be. And I want to keep in mind again, uh, you know, keeping my stop tight at the lows and being more willing to get back in and recycle those shares, because once you do catch those good pullbacks, you know, we're seeing a good move up, right? Ultimately the Christmas tree can happen, but that's exactly why we want to keep our stops really tight in those moves. So that, and then get green and get the hell out, right? That's the two. That's the second one. Get green and disappear. So despite the higher float, if this one has some motion, a little bit longer holds and some of those pullback trades could work out, but we'll see how the volume kicks in here in the next minute. What are the odds that we can see a break of the pre-market high here? Nothing super aggressive early on it. Little sideways to start. There's a little bit more spunk out of it. We got 210. This is where we want to see the stock starting to, hold up over 2 and like pull away over time. My level 2 is freezing. Oh, come on. What's going on? I'm getting like some lag here early in the level 2. Anyhow, it's taking a dip here, watching. Again, it'll be good if this one is able to hold over 2. Bro, it's freezing. Why is it freezing so much? Maybe a good old restart of the platform could be good. The 1 minute candle to make the new high. Let's see if it does retest at 10, 12, 13 area. Jeez Louise. The Weeble order notifications too are sometimes really slow. Although the key is just getting into the trade, right? Bro, can this thing stop freezing? Again, our float is like a little lower, so or higher rather. LGVN. Not seeing it on the scans, but maybe there's something there. I can't tell if the volume is going so low to where it's like looking like it's LW LWG LWLG. I 'Cause 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 ' LWLG. This one is also from yesterday. A bit of a later power hour push to 740. CDXS really showing its float here. Still at $2 on that dip. If ATPC goes through the VWAP, maybe there's something there. LWLG. Did it curl up some more? Let me see. LWLG. There's not much for the open here so far. Come on, CDXS. Try a move here for the red to green. NCI, XSTP. A bunch of other ones hitting the scans, but ATPC needs to get through 560 over the VWAP. Hopefully this one goes ATPC. It could be something if it goes. My average is a little higher than I would want it to be here, but watching. ATPC. I'll pull on screen once I get a chance here. It definitely fluctuates a lot. Bro, it's like my level. I need to restart. I'm still getting this freeze from time to time. It'll be best if this 5 minute candlestick is able to hold up. We got a seller, 40,000 shares, mid 70s. Maybe a fake order. It's holding up fairly well for now. Highs were at 608. We'll see if it's able to retest the highs over time. If we can continue to hold up maybe above the VWAP area. I'm actually willing to take a breakout trade here. Big seller coming in, 75. Again, like another fake order right there. Makes it pretty tricky in that kind of level there. Maybe someone trying to scare the price back down. New 5-minute candlestick in 1 minute. I'm hoping we don't see a 5-minute pullback yet, but you know, it could happen. Good hold right there. It's a good breakthrough 6 right before the candle is about to end. Because if we had closed down there, man, it would have been a hard time getting back up. Probably could have had the 5-minute pullback. So it's a good move. I'm not getting the fills I want, but you know, We have another 2 minutes before the new 5 minute candlestick on the bigger time frame. Will we see a breakout here, or does it need another pullback? A minute 30 seconds for before that candle comes. I'd like to see it happen here, but no guarantees. Can we see a higher low and then a retest of that 30 level would be pretty good here. We might see it. Seems like some buyers are stepping in. Or maybe not. Back down to 611 there. It's not breaking below, which is good for now. Well, okay, there's below 08. So the candle, oh, okay, I'd say the 5 minute candle ended in an okay place. We're not like below $6, so I guess that's good. My level 2 needs to stop freezing in these moments. What's going on? I'm definitely chasing it here for the breakout. And is it going to happen? Why does it keep freezing? I have to restart my platform. It's like there's no time though, you know? So ATPC double top. No new high of 640, 650. We're getting a 5 minute pullback here. ROMA halted. Mm, the stock is still pretty bullish. We're above the VWAP, which is good. I don't know if it goes through 6 here. The VWAP I'm thinking is the key, so I'm watching here. As usual, these areas can be a little risky. Can we hold the VWAP? Damn, my average didn't even come down. Did I get filled? They filled me 75. They don't play to give you high fills, though. You guys know how it is, right? The market makers must make their money. They must scalp us. It's all good business in the end of the day. So I'm risking about 10 cents here. Maybe my stop could be a little too tight, but want to keep it tight. I was looking for a bit of a lower average on that ad, but slightly higher fill there. If we lose the VWAP is where I'm looking to stop out, even though there's a potential of a reclaim. Um, I'm looking to keep it tight. Cutting it right there, 70. We got as low as 61. My level 2 froze, so I couldn't even see that. Are we seeing a potential reclaim here? God damn it, these reclaims, brother. Okay. Not bad, I suppose. Not bad. Good trade, good setup. Got stopped out. Respected the stop loss, which was pretty good. Because sometimes these, as we know, can flush right out to, 550, 540. So being that there's a reclaim, there's a chance it does hold the VWAP here again and tries. If it breaks below VWAP is where I'm looking to just like call it. But I think above the VWAP is where it has a chance to retake $6 if it holds and consolidates long enough. I might be in for a breakout trade, depending on how it moves here. ROMA curling up a little bit. Break of 8, maybe. It'll be lovely if this stock holds the view up, just. Okay, it is Dunzo. Well, ROMA actually is halting up. This one is finito. 20 cents, 100 shares there. A little much. False halt. Damn. Oh, okay. This is kind of getting a little big here. Oh, okay. Okay. Not good. Not good. That was not good. Christmas tree for ROMA. Our old nemesis, the Christmas tree. Wanted sub 8, like as in like 790, high 80s, but 60s is just too much for that kind of a, you know. So we moved up about $1.50 maybe. Let's see. We moved up about $1.20. The pullback about $1 share. Too much of a dip there. There might be a red to green. Well, it's halting down actually. I was about to say there might be a red to green, but so now it's pulled back a full $1.20. These trades like this are just, you know, move started down here, 720, dollar 20 cents a share, and then $1.20 a share back down. So you guys will find that I lose on these setups all the time because, you know, typically when a stock is moving, we're not really seeing 100% retracement all the time. But here's 100% retracement. And yellow, I guess, maybe the best color to stand out. This could have been a good red to green, but still halted down. No good. No good. Bro, everything looks great on the stock too. You know, the volume going up on that last candlestick. We had about 1.2 million shares. I would expect a bounce out of the halt, but of course, not guaranteed. $11.28 is the resumption. DTCK moving up a little bit. Volume is a little light. Again, I think there'll be a small bounce out of the resumption, but I'll use smaller size here, just like 300 shares. Can we at least see like 30 cents after dropping that dollar, 20 cents? $11.28. We're currently at 724. 7 seconds. Looks like it might be 10 minutes. QNTM. Doesn't seem like recent news. Actually, hold up. Let me double check this. Well, okay, the headline was yesterday. Corporate update. You know what? I can restart my platform here, actually. Hold up. You can go to the disclaimer screen. Or white screen, white screen. ROMA seems to be, the volume was a little lighter before 10 a.m. A bit of a slow grind here in the volume as we curled up. and a good volume spike after the false halt, or it might have been after resumption. There might have been a halt here around 720. Good volume, good move, but a tough pullback here. So 12 and what's the math here? Not 12. 10, 16, and 28 seconds. Thinking if I should use limit or market. Limit or market. Oh man. If it gaps down even lower, I think it'll be even better for the bounce, but we'll see. Twenty-four in the next 10 seconds. All right, here we go. Oh my god, holy shit. Oh my god, I'm gonna get cooked. Jesus Christ. Well, so much for a bounce. That is gonna be bad. Holy shit. Brother, what is this? No way. Bro, it's been months since I got caught into a haul down. Holy shit. Jesus Christ. That was pretty bad. Holy smokes. Not good. So, you know what's funny? Marcelo put up a great day to be today is a great day to not be a great day. Really, really powerful statement right there. Jesus Christ. So much for a bounce. Is there like bad news on this thing or that came out in between that resumption? Yeah, not seeing any recent headlines. Jeez Louise. And that might be another 10-minute haul too. Forget a Christmas tree. This is going in to the roots of the ground. A catastrophic sell-off. It's a pretty weak market for small caps though. Now I'm at the mercies of the seas. Wherever it resumes is wherever I'll get filled. 2150, and if not, might be a 10 minutes. Stairs going up, and escalator or elevator, really. Elevator back down. ATPC maybe does get over the VWAP over time. It's, it's been curling a little bit off those lows at 530s. Bro, this is insane, bro. Holy smokes. Resume and get me out of this depths. The order's out, so it should get filled wherever it resumes, if it does resume here. If not, looks like it's 10 minutes. Bro, so much for a tight loss on managing risk. With small size, it's like this is the only way you could like really have a bigger red day is like some craziness like this. AGRZ. You need something like catastrophic like this craziness to. But yeah, I was really thinking, after that dollar 20 cents drop off the highs without really a bounce, that we were going to see a bounce. So I took the resumption lower here and got absolutely cooked. No initial selling at the open of the resumption, so taking an order there, it then drops 30 cents, and I'm like, okay, here we go, the bottom. So I'll add 300 more shares, 600 shares, have my average somewhere like in between that, Let's say from 650 open, I added like 613, average around maybe 630, 628, 632, somewhere there. Okay, can we see that sweet bounce back to 60, 70 for a nice 30, 40 cent move? I'm caught in the halt down. AGRZ, man. AGRZ moving up. 2650. Another minute to the resumption. AGRZ from 70 to 75, 75, it looks like right there. There's about 20 seconds. Let me just make sure my order goes through here. The damage, whatever the damage is, it's already done. Bro. So AGRZ, let's put up. Finally. I'm out of the depths in that one. Honestly, you know, when I look at that kind of loss, it's like, it's not the kind of loss where, like, you know, hey, like I did something where I wasn't supposed to do something, you know? It's a trade that I took 1,000 times in my career that, you know, in this particular instance happened to be pretty bad. Mentally, I still feel fine. You know, it does suck to like take that kind of like a loss in that way, but part of the business. There are going to be days where you can get caught, and there are going to be days too where you get into a trade and you know, you get the CIIT move where you're not expecting, you know, anything crazy, but then you get a good move to the upside as well, right? So it goes both ways. AGRZ currently having a red candle on the 5 after 2 good green candles. This one could still have some more opportunities. So the way how I'm looking at the day, right, it's like outside of like that madness of like that fluke loss, really, we've been managing risk fairly well. We haven't broken any of our rules. You know, we kind of got caught in a bad one there. So I'm willing to give AGRC a shot here, starting with small size. And if we're able to connect nicely, we can slowly size up if we're gonna get another good uptrend. AGRZ. Low is at 67 for now. One minute candle to make the new high early. We're gonna try it. Gonna risk about a cent. There's. Oh, come on. Did I get the fill? Not quite. I'm now about to say there's a cent and a half, but we're back down a full cent there in the blink of an eye. It seems like the 1 minute candle to make the new high is holding though. Early in the red to green here. We missed the potential double bottom, but again, if it's still strong and we can see 75, 80, 85, there's going to be opportunities. Jeez Louise, brother. It's a pretty big dip. But okay, 75 to 71. I'll set a max loss so I don't like, what we're 7, 8, or like 900. If I lose like another $100, okay, I'll call it a day, but a bit of a tough dip there. What is good though is that it held up it held up the low that we had there is pretty much the high of the first 1 minute candlestick. Slightly above it. So it's like the pullback is still holding up. It didn't quite sell off all the way, but a bigger dip. Nevertheless, not quite the micro for the retest of 75. But if we lose that level, it could end up being a good size flush out. Big levels here. The 5 minute candlestick has less than half a minute. Will we see some buying into the new 5 minute candle? There is some buying, but will it be enough to push us over 73? Kind of some buying, but a little bit of a churn watching. Sub 70, maybe. Maybe coming up, sub 70. I'm going to have to throw in the white flag here if I cannot connect. The first trade, we had a good trade, but you know, the moment we're selling, it kind of drops off like a cent and a half almost, but still a good trade nevertheless. Second trade kind of tough, taking the dip, but you know, a little early. A little bit more size on that one. Here's sub 70. We'll see. If it breaks down the low of the consolidation, I'm out of here. And that's the last line in the sand in this area, which is pretty much VWAP. If it breaks down the VWAP, it might be cooked. Give the pastor a sweet micro before. I didn't jump in aggressively at 67. There was some buying there. 6-8, 6-8-3, 6-8-4, 6-8-3. If it needs a retest of the lows, that's fine. Like a good test of strength could be good. There's the VWAP 665. If it doesn't hold, I think it might be done. If it doesn't hold here, it is finito. So at this point, I'm just gonna like risk at the lows, and if it doesn't hold up, it doesn't hold up. The candlestick is still young. We got about 4 more minutes to go. AGRZ at the VWAP. Will it be able to hold up and retest 70? 70 is also going to be big because it's pretty much the high of the bear flag. If it rejects, then it could be right back down in no time. So if it's going to be strong once it does get there, or if it gets there, it needs to show that, people are like adding to their positions, being aggressive. If not, it is Cook City. And I'll be cutting it and shutting it down. Seeing some selling here. Will we see buyers at the VWAP? So people, there's some buying down there, all right. But again, will it be enough to push us to 70? Can't believe I got caught in a halt down. Like my biggest loss all time, like 5,000, is from a halt down. Something similar to what happened there actually. That day I took some size though for sure. I think I was in there a couple thousand shares, and it was like $1 or $2 a share lower resumption, like just brutal, instant, Titanic. Is this it? Are we seeing something here for our test of 70? Time 43, 44. The only real risk in these type of situations is like if the stock is to go from here and like it just teleports down. Like honestly, other than that, there's like never any like real risk because you can respect your stop in the trade, right? Which is, hey, I'm risking 1 cent, 1 cent, or 1 and 2/10 of a cent, really. to get the push back over 70, which is a potential 3 to 4, maybe even 5 cent if we get like 71, 72. It's like a 4 to 5 cent potential winning trade versus the risk of the 1 cent and a half, or let's say 1 cent, 1 cent, and 1 and 2 tenths of a cent. Jeez. The real risk is if, like, hey, 68 is printing and then boom, you just see 65. Like, there are days where that happens, and like your what you're looking for your stop to be is like a whole different thing, right? But even then, you have to still manage the risk. Like, so similar with that haul down, it doesn't go according to plan, but it doesn't mean, hey, time to invent a new strategy and like buy the stock 10,000 shares. And that if you guys are to see me doing that, then I'm cooked mentally. Whether you're someone who has a track record that has made money before, or if you've never made money, like all those variables like that, none of it matters. Like, what matters is you being disciplined and following the rules of engagement that you have for yourself and your trading, right? So you got to always follow through in the correct decision, which is the decision that's right for you and how you're looking to approach the market. Does it have what it takes to get through 70? We're seeing some buyers coming in. I'm watching it here. What will it be? Will we see 71, 72? It might be rejecting here. I sold some there at 69 area, but again, it's the higher the bear flag. There's sometimes resistance. Now it'll have to hold the view up again. If it breaks down, I'm definitely out of here. Will we see a reclaim? If not, it could be completely cooked. In the short term, right? If you're here till 5 p.m., there's a chance, of course, it curls back up through the VWAP. You got to remember to say in the short term. Like the next 10, 15 minutes, we might see a bigger pullback if it breaks down here. Yeah, it's struggling. There's buying coming in, but it's that selling pressure is there. Looks like it's breaking down some more. 64, 64.9. There are people buying though here. Oh, unless maybe it's like some covering from the highs. People who might have been short 75 or so, maybe taking some profits. But there's some green hitting the tape. Not as much selling as I would have expected there, but we'll see how the next couple of candles do here below the VWAP. So yeah, I think today is a good day. Like, we started off a little red. I wasn't worried about being down to $200. Like, I'm thinking to myself, okay, worst case scenario is like if we don't see anything else, it's a tight day nevertheless. But the first stock we traded, maybe we might have took one too many trades in that consolidation, but we had a good first move up in the first candlestick or two. Watching that pullback at the $2 level, and just no bounce there, and we had some issues with lag in our level 2, which didn't help. But down $200 right there, which wasn't good. And then ATPC comes along. It's a good move. We get ourselves back to small green. And then we see the resumption on the, we saw ROMO hitting the scans, ROMA hitting the scans. We typed it in on our other screen, and I saw it halting up. So that's why I kind of pulled it up like right after the other one sold through below the VWAP. Pulled it up and took the first dip out of the resumption. 850 was the high. Took the dip down at 810 and was looking for an ad below $8. You know, hey, 790, maybe high 80s. I had a starter position at 810, like smaller size. So when we got the drop through, I added like at 85. But after adding right there, you know, maybe my average came down like 98 or something like that, you know, which is not too bad if we're going to see that push through 8 again and, you know, 820, 830. But added down there and like immediately we're like at 70, 60. I'm like, okay, it's just too much of a dip. Got to cut this trade. So we're out at 70. It drops down all the way to 20 and halts down to 720, halt down. So I'm thinking, hey, we might see a bounce out of this resumption here, being that it's like so much of a drop off the highs. But as we know, the market can be irrationally strong and irrationally weak. So this thing went from 855 to a low of 360 before bouncing. If I would have held this trade and like added, before you know it, my entire account could be at stake. And if it doesn't bounce like this, if it does one more halt down, I'm liquidated, $0 in the account. Boom. And then you have ticker symbols like CIIT, which can be irrationally. Can we get the 10-second back? Oh, we can't. Have to do the 1 minute. I can show the video in the chat. If you guys want to see that video, we have a video from Oren. Shout out to Oren in the chat room. Here we go. At least, yeah, the 1 minute shows it fairly well. This one was in pre-market. No one expecting this thing to go over like 10, 15 cents of a move, you know, a stock at 50 cents. You know, this is the context here. Early pre-market news, a little bit of volume starts to hit. You know, break of 53 for the potential red to green. And sometimes you can get a stock that can be irrationally strong. So even people who might have went short right here, and this is why short selling is so dangerous, right? For people who might have went short, you know, you could have easily also gotten like, you could have gotten a margin call rather. I'm saying like liquidated. You could have gotten margin call. AGRZ testing the 70 level again, which is good. You could have gotten margin call here, you know, from something that you could have thought, hey, this is going to fade right back down. In the next minute, this thing goes to 160, 460, 10, 15, 20, goes up to a high of like 22. Some people who are long are able to get the fills coming out. Lucas, one of the chat room members, actually goes short up here. And it's irrationally weak right back down. And like, you know, that was pretty much it. So you can see some crazy stuff. So AGRZ, you know, of course, after stopping out the pastor, it does reclaim that VWAP level and gets up there to 70. It's a good move. It can potentially make a new high here. But I'd say the best setup was the VWAP setup there. You know, again, when it broke down, there was some buying. It wasn't as much selling as I would have thought. So I guess there was a chance there for it to, you know, reclaim. So over 66, really, I'd say was probably a good area there for the 1 minute candle to make the new high back over to VWAP. If I'm in, I mean, me personally, I'd like to take some profits, but I think we could see closer to 77 is possible here. If it's able to hold 70, 77 could be in reach, maybe 75 and then like a double top if it's not able to get all the way through. Buying it here, you know, I wouldn't say it's like chasing. It really comes down to if we can get a good strong hold at 70 for me. If not, if it doesn't hold up that area there, it could be tough getting a good entry. A bit of a 3-bar play here on the 1 minute. Will we see 75? But I'd really prefer to be in lower holding here, like than trying to scalp it. You know, like trying to scalp these areas is just so tough. If it's a little more volatile, it could be good for scalps, but if not, you know, you gotta watch out. Here's a new 5-minute candlestick as well here. We're about 30 seconds in. I'm only interested in the 70 area. It doesn't have to be 70 exactly, but plus or minus, right? I'm interested there because, you know, we had so much resistance on the bear flag. If these levels like that are able to become some support on the way up, then more than likely we don't Christmas tree, hey, 72 back to 66. Because if it goes down like 68, it's probably going to retest the lows, which is not really necessary in this area, you know? We've already held up the lows just now for a good amount of time there, retaking 70 or let's say 67. Now it's time to keep a tight pullback and then just go. Come on, give us a good test of strength. Right there, we had 71.6. Maybe that's as low as it was going to go. We haven't seen any real selling pressure up here yet, which is a good thing, right? People are not selling. It's holding strong. So again, maybe 75, 76 can happen here in the next 2 minutes, really 3 minutes. Will it be able to give a good push? It needs to reclaim instantly. If it doesn't, it's trouble. So we're gonna get the dip. Will it reclaim and hold up over 70? High 70 here is gonna be even better. But it's the type of trade where I don't want to just take the 1.5 cent. I want to just hold this because I think it could go to 75, 77, right? I'm willing to just sell break even here just to see and give it a chance for the trade idea. Because if I take the 1.5 cent, then I'm pretty much going to be looking for an entry again, trying to scalp in an area where scalping doesn't make any sense. So it's either this goes or I stop out pretty much flat in the trade. So we'll see if it has, you know, the boost here. There's 75 or close to it. I think we can see 77 here if it's strong through this level. Are the bulls here for this one? I want to give it time. I want to give it a chance. It's showing me everything. It's showing me everything. Short sellers are very, very nervous here. And it's only a matter of time before they panic. Hopefully. Diamond hands, diamond hands. Come on. It needs to hold. I'm so tempted to like add back, but it needs to hold at 75 and keep going here. Can we hold 74, 75? Can we hold 74, 75 and keep going? Oh, I think 75 is a big level now. 75 is going to be a big level, I think, here. 81. Wow. Beyond expectation. Well, at least it's a little bit of damage control there. A little bit of something. I think 75 area is going to be a big level here. Maybe even slightly above. This is where I have to be careful for Christmas tree, though. Like, if it does pull back like 76, 75, you got to be careful because then, if it is weak, then before you know it, you're seeing 70 and it's like, whoa. A pullback would be good after such a big move. It'll be natural. It's just a matter of not titanicking into the abyss. Because short sellers should be hanging by a thread here still, after that new high right there. Some stubborn short sellers are going to be adding higher to bring up their average. But, if it holds this pullback and then we see over 82, 83, then before you know it, we could see 85, 86. So I'm not in. Again, scalping it a little tough. We didn't really see. I'd say we didn't really get like a real pullback there. Kind of held really high. This is where scalping it can become very, very tough. For me, at least. Some people might, just be more aggressive to just jump in right away. A bit of a double top right there, 81. Man, I don't want to hear about ROMA halting up. Get that nonsense out of here. I mean, I'd say for myself, like it doesn't feel hard for me to manage risk. Like it's more so just clicking, like clicking with this with what I'm trying here. I think that's like the key. Like there are some really great examples like this where we can catch a really nice trade and then like some of these other stocks, I mean even ROMA, right? Like stocks like that where we took the dip sub 8 thinking, hey, this is a pretty bullish stock, high volume. It just sells off, which it doesn't make sense for what the move up is telling us. Like this move up here is telling us, hey, this thing is a pretty bullish stock. Once we come down to the VWAP area, maybe even slightly below, there could be a chance it can hold up. Then there's stocks like ROMA that just doesn't respect any of the levels at all, right? Just so you got to make sure to keep the stop as tight as you can, and even when you get caught, you got to manage the risk. We're not really seeing a bigger pullback here. It's holding high. I'm thinking if I want to attempt a break of 81, it seems like a bit of a more risky entry. Do I want to attempt break of 81? It's a tough trade to take. It could work, but it's a tough trade to take, I'd say. I think it's more risky than it is going to be good, so I'll just leave it here. If I try 81, we can be back down 79 like that, very quickly. 2-cent loss. If you have big cushion on the day and it's like, hey, I'll risk a smaller position, then it's way easier to do. I know I've said this before, but the day trade dash software has definitely grown on me a lot. Ever since Thinkorswim was I walked away from them. Here's 81. Can 81 hold? Back to 80, 81 again. If it goes up a little bit more, I might try to break out here. Can we see 84? Big level here. Well, we see 84. It's 82 too. Where's a shot there? Not quite. It might still go, but man, this range. I mean, it's a 5 cent range, but it just it seems so tight. And it's like a slightly higher low we're getting for now, at least here, which makes it even a little bit more, a little tighter. A little tighter of a range. Without the ROMA crazy loss though, it's like a still as mentioned, in terms of managing risk, it's like a still a bit of a manageable day. A bit of a bit of a black swan. A black swan. I do want to pay attention here, to see how it does. If it breaks down below 878 and 77. Because sometimes we might get a tight breakdown. Maybe just a center two. In fact, we're already seeing some buying there. Which means it's strong. I mean, if this stuff like that's happening, it's pretty strong, right? It's pretty strong here. I mean, at least for now, in the short term, we're holding up very well in this consolidation. Not what I want to see at 80. Will we try again? Cutting that 1 minute candle to make the new high, not holding up as well right there. I'm willing to like take an earlier scalp because we held up 78 so well just now. It's looking like it might want to try again for 82 over time here, and maybe the next 5 minutes. We're not really seeing like a bigger pullback, so at least not yet. This is gonna be big here. What's it gonna be? If there's an aggressive reclaim, it could be good for the consolidation. If not, we're seeing a bigger drop. Actually, hold up. Seeing the wrong price points. Bit of a hiccup there. Okay, looks like it's a bigger pullback here. I don't know why just now there, like I thought I saw 776. It was 766 instead. Even this is interesting here. Like 3 minutes. Okay, maybe not quite. 77 was the low of the consolidation. It seems like it's not quite the reclaim. 77 was the low of the consolidation there. We're back over it slightly, but not enough to really get anything going. Will we see something tight against the level, or will we see more of a washout? I honestly was expecting more of a washout, but this is like similar to what we saw at the VWAP. I don't know how well 75 will do considering that we held up so high for so long at 77, 78. So very skeptical in these areas here. And just gonna wait. So far there are some buyers. Okay, all right. I'm honestly like hoping to get like a retest now. I mean, it seems like it's holding. All right. There's obviously still some risk, but so maybe no retest. No retest, which means I'll have to take the breakout trade, which can be a little tricky. So I pretty much missed that dip there. You know, confirmation, right? Sometimes confirmation is like waiting to see us hold a level, but if you don't get that retest, then you know the entry low is pretty much gone, right? Doesn't mean that we're out of the woods yet because we could still just be pricing in a high in the bear flag here all over again. So got to be patient. But if it looks like we're going to get a move right away early, then it could be worth a shot. Below this consolidation, if it breaks down, similar to the VWAP consolidation, if it breaks down, I'll be out of here. I don't want to overtrade if we're going to get like on a backside. So right here, just being patient and waiting. Want to also keep in mind, you know, we can see higher lows, things like that. So you gotta be willing to put out the trade, even if it's not exactly where I would love it to be. And staying open-minded as well in case we see a more of a V-shaped red to green here, in which case we're not coming back down at all. So keeping an open mind here and looking to be reactive depending on what the price action looks like. A bit of a churn here. Oh, no good fill. That was pretty bad. We could be seeing a fairly high or higher low, which is what I'm thinking there, but my fill is just way too bad to hold that. So again, even on some of these pullbacks, it can be a little tricky to get the entries that you're looking for. In like a cent higher and immediately back out for like a 6/10 of a cent loss. Terrible. But a cent higher is just too tough to hold that. Half cent, much better chance of just giving it a time there. Gotta roll my eye at that one. 82 is still the real target if it can push through 82. That was a close one. If I'm in again, I'd take something and then I'd like to see if we get 82. Tough to take this trade here now, though, not already being in at like 77 or 76 rather. 76.5 or so. What was that dip? Bro, I still get a miserable fill somehow. So watching for a potential higher low again versus the absolute low of the consolidation, but willing to recycle shares if I need to, if it comes down to it. I don't know if this one can get to $1. I mean, depending on how it goes over 85, like if it gets through, or rather 82, if it gets through 82, the kind of move that it gives, if it gets there, will let us know if, hey, this thing maybe can go 85, 90, 95. Like if we get like a super strong, boom, 86, 87, 88, if that happens, then for sure, I think $1 can come, like, maybe after another consolidation or something at that point. But for now, watching to see if we hold up this current consolidation. If not, the lows of the consolidation, we'll see how well it does. It's definitely some, you know, definitely a lot slower pace than what we've done in the past, right? Sometimes it almost feels like you're falling asleep. So watching the level here, big levels. If not, I'll be watching the low of the consolidation. Watching here to keep it tight if I need to. We could still see a higher low relative to our low, so keeping that in mind as well. What's interesting is that the tape comes down to like such a standstill here, like almost like if there's no volume. Some selling pressure going through. Giving it a shot again at mid 76 there. It could be done here. If it breaks down, I think 75, it could be in trouble. So will we continue to hold up? Will we see buyers here in these key levels? 75, 76, 77. It's a similar setup to the other one too. Again, the volume's slowing down so much here. Are we going to see buyers step in, or are we going to see more selling pressure? $75. If it doesn't hold, I think that's it for this one. Looks like that might be it. No signs of a strong reclaim just yet. Yeah, it's looking like it could be finished here. Yeah, 73. Typically, when there's going to be a strong reclaim, there's like a nice, surge of buying like right at that level or slightly below, like slightly below, for a reclaim. not at, but below. So 74, 70, 74, 5, 70, even like high 73s. But typically you want to be like right back over the level aggressively, 77.5, or rather 75, 7. These numbers are like so mixy. And then 76 and then 77. Looks like this. I would say this is probably in the short term a bit of a bigger pullback for backside. And VWAP probably the next level down, which is all the way to 71. If we zoom out on like the 1 minute is fine to zoom out on. If we zoom out a little bit more, it's a bit of a longer pullback here coming into, you know, not necessarily previous highs, but just the VWAP itself. So maybe time to shut her down. We missed one good trade in here for this red to green. We had 75 all the way to 82. We missed that setup there. So we didn't get to add to the gains, and then we took some losses, like 4 or 5 losses, skipping back the move we had in the first setup here. So very important to capture some of these trades in the consolidation. 75 to 79, and then 76 to 81. When you capture these trades here, you can definitely add to the gains, but you got to still watch out for the retests pulling back and then taking the loss here at the lows of the consolidation. But yeah, I'd say it's a good place to walk away. Again, outside of like the black swan kind of ROMA halt down, we managed risk. We didn't really like take a massive loss per se outside of this one. But in terms of ROMA, we definitely got destroyed on that. Trying that low resumption lower for a bit of a bounce. We got absolutely smoked right there. With just 600 shares, we pretty much lost $1 a share after getting caught into the halt down. We had 300 shares. If you're now tuning in, we opened up sideways. I took 300 shares right away. No selling pressure early there, so took 300 shares. We dropped about 30 cents. I'm like, okay, I'll add and have that good average in that new low to have a bit of a midpoint between the open and the low of that drop for that bounce back up. But instead we dropped like another 40 cents into a halt down, and I only got filled one of the positions of half of the position coming out into that halt down. So took the brunt of the resumption lower, which definitely didn't help. That added, we could have maybe managed risk to where we lost like 390, 400, but that extra loss out of the resumption added to that deficit there. Bit of an anomaly. We haven't gotten caught in a trade like that in a long time. But we managed risk. We had a good trade in here on AGRZ. We needed to capture something more in the consolidation before the breakdown here. But I'd say it's still not done for those of you going till to 5 p.m., like, into after hours. We could just see a little bit more of a prolonged consolidation here, bigger dip. VWAP, we're still above the VWAP, which is the key, in the bigger time frame. If it pulls back below the VWAP, then you kind of, starting to get more bearish. But for now, I'd say it's still holding up. If we pull up a 5-minute chart and then a 15-minute chart, we could see a bit of a 15-minute bull flag here into the VWAP, and but I do have to keep in mind the topping wicks on the last 2 red candles here on the bigger time frame, just in case VWAP comes and it doesn't hold up. Over trading below the level and adding could be too risky. So EONR, I think I'm leaving that one alone, and I'm gonna shut it down. This freaking loss is definitely a little, not really frustrated per se. but not happy, right? Not happy, not happy. So it's my bro. This is like way too much of a red, brother. Way too much. Let me pull up the calendar here. Way too much red here on a week where we should be green every day, right? Even I think Monday we kind of came in and I think we didn't trade as well as we could have traded Monday, right? Tuesday we had some good action. You know, we did pretty good on this day. We made a lot of money for the size we used on this day on Tuesday. A really good day. Yesterday we also mentioned that we felt like we came in a little too, you know, we had some mistakes, right? Towards the lows and some opportunities, we had mistakes. Um I can't remember. I think it was Monday. Monday was the day where we went green to red to green. I think I ended the live stream down $70. We were green pre-market. We went red into the open. We ended the live stream down 70, and we got green like 360. And I think over trading is what really got to us. Like seeing some good opportunities and like getting tunnel vision on like the next leg of the move, the next leg, the next move, the next trade, and just like gave back with some paper cuts, and then had like two bigger losses towards the end, which was terrible for Monday. Tuesday, great day. Hey, we came in. Hey, just focus on getting green, and if you can add to it, great. But at the moment you start giving back, walk away. Wednesday, a little bit of turbulence there, and then Thursday, today, ROMA, man, freaking ROMA. I tell you, threw my risk, my like max loss kind of risk out of the window with that like curveball there. So got to be more careful too. It's a stock that didn't really have any fresh news. We did get some volume at 10 a.m., but that was pretty much all we had. It was a false halt up, and we kind of got caught there. I wouldn't beat myself up too much for this type of loss, but it can happen. So the other account, if I had to guess, in the other account, I want to say I'm like a red 250. I sadly didn't upload every single time. Like I'm still so used to like importing everything at the end of the month into the calendars and stuff. Like I haven't even imported any of this into the actual software that I'm using. Right? This is just like the Webull actually has a calendar, which is what this is. So the month started off fairly good, what plus 1.4K on that Wednesday. And then we kept it tight Thursday, didn't really get much there. I think Friday we might have traded in the other account. But not a good week here. Not a good week. For a week that we saw some good opportunities, I'd say. ROMA taking me Titanic, brother. If any of you guys figure out how to import, like if you find a way to calibrate, whether it's Sage Trade, anything that's connected to DAS, pretty much, right? Sage Trader, Guardian, like any other platforms that's utilizing DAS. I'm pretty sure if I had to guess, like the way how they will send you your trade logs, it might be. I'm thinking it's the same, but even if it's slightly different, I'd be interested in like learning what you guys do to like calibrate it, to import to softwares, whether it's TraderView or anything else, really. I'm not using TraderView as much anymore, but even if I have to like, just quickly like sign up for an account there or check out my old account and import just to see exactly everything perfectly could be good, but there's a lot of days where I forget to upload, and it's like, if you don't upload that same day, then you're kind of missing the data, which, is a little tough. Oh man, I think today I'm gonna try to make like a recap video, like an update video. Pastor in the depths, in the absolute depths. MMU and the Discord. Well, here's what I'll say, right? In terms of like day-to-day expenses and stuff, like I've made a lot of money trading, like to where I've made a good amount of money trading. Even like after taxes, you know, the thing is with this career is that like it's different from a normal job in the sense that when you have a big day, like that money is there versus hey, I'm making 10K a month and you're getting paid every so often, maybe bi-weekly, weekly, monthly, whatever it might be, depending on your contract. So when you have a big day, it's readily and available, minus taxes. If you forget about taxes and you spend everything, then you're gonna owe the IRS money. But in terms of like expenses, like I've made so much money trading that like it's to the point now like I'll do stuff and I don't even look at the receipts like you know. I'm very grateful to have made some money in the markets here. So even in these slower stretches where I'm just barely treading water and surviving, the past store is says I'll log into my old TraderView account here. My old TraderView account. What is it? Detailed and then win-loss ratio, something like that. Win-loss expectation, I think. This is the TraderView account. My old TraderView account. So pretty much, I'm like still, let's see, win-loss expectation. Like if we're able to get all the imports from the DAS connected platforms, it's like we're like in this sideways consolidation. I haven't really like lost money really, you know. I think we're down like I think we're down like 7K versus this P&L curve right here. Let me zoom in. I haven't like lost any money, so like all my trading gains that I've had, um, sub taxes of course, because there's taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, you're gonna get cooked. Uncle Sam will for surely get you. In fact, we can even draw it in really to have even a better visual. What's this thing called? If we draw in a trend line here, it's like, well, hold up, it's a little too. It's kind of like this, like that. If we put a trend line there. So in terms of like the reality of trading, right? Like I remember I went to a conference in New York. Some guys that spoke there were from Clover Trading. You had guys like Kyle Williams, the laptop legend, Edu Trades, or no, not Edu Trades. What's his name? I think his name is Huddy Trades. Huddy, maybe. I'm not sure what like the brand name he has, but anyhow, you had a couple of people who've made like around like 2, 3, 4, 5 million dollars, and like they spoke about how like they had certain like lulls in their like careers, like showing their equity curve. Like some of these guys' equity curves were like like insane, right? Like a nice move up, and then like a crazy, drop like this, and then another go, and then sometimes even like a drop like this, and then another go. So, in terms of the reality of trading, obviously not everybody has my personality. Like, so for me, it's pretty easy to show up here, even when things are not going my way, even when I'm not making tens of thousands of dollars, all the time. Other people with different personalities might say, hey, you know what, man, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z differently. But for me, I'm here to show the people the real raw reality of the markets, of trading. And I always say this too, even if I miss a day, even if I miss a week, a month, or anything, I don't mind ever coming back and showing like my performance of that time where I wasn't live, right? Which makes me transparent all the time at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go over the full story of everything because we've already done that so many times. But it's been quite the change since last summer, really. Like last summer is where, you know, things had changed a little bit, but we're still threading water. We're not really like in a massive drop off the highs or anything like that. It's a matter of just continuing to work until we get more consistency. And then after that point of like, a good track record, then more size comes into it. And then you start to, you get that like, what's the word? Exponential move up in your P&L. So it's another day in the process. We've had traders in our chat room, traders on Twitter and other platforms where, you see their equity curve. Some people are red and sideways for 6 years. And then year number 6 is where they kind of get that like breakout, year number 7. We've seen some guys in our own chat. We've seen some people in some other communities. And we've also seen people with equity curves like this, as mentioned, in that conference that I've been to, where you then have like a drop off, consolidation, and then a red to green, things like that. If you're to look at us like a stock chart. So in terms of what a month could look like in like our hotter days, like if we go back to 2024, 2023, like in terms of like what like a hot month would look like. We could do November. Was one of the hotter months. Let's see, December. Did we have anything good December? We'll check. I know November was a hot month. December. And there's so many red days here. Anyhow, let's see. November was a really hot month for us. This is like a really hot month for me back in the days of like the hyper scalping stuff. A really good week here. One of the better weeks, really. So, when you compare this to like going sideways and going slow in terms of like managing the emotions, and even for the people who are going sideways now, right? It's all good. It's all a good lesson too, right? If you're going sideways now, and then you end up making this kind of money like every month or every so often, whatever it might be, you have to be able to manage, right? And both side of the spectrums. If you're small now and then you get big, again, you have to do the right things. Make sure you pay your taxes. Make sure that you are going about yourself in a good financial manner to where if you do get a slowdown, these months like this aren't just disappeared and gone. Like this month here can last me X amount of time. Obviously your living situation, like your responsibilities, like do you have kids? Are you the head of household? Do you have a wife? Or I mean, there's so many variables that come into play as to like how you will spend money. Mortgages and multiple homes and this and that, the type of cars, lifestyle. There's so many things we can get into, but the key is to make sure that you live moderately. And so, if there's a slowdown, it's like I'm still on this day. I'm still, I'm like I'm still on this day of gains here for this whole X amount of time. Like without getting too personal, it's like my lifestyle isn't super expensive. That's all I'm trying to say. QNTM is hitting the scans for those of you still going. QNTM hitting the scans. It's a lot of commissions, 1,400 in fees. Goodness, cooked. Relative to the, but again, like the only reason I'm not like able to share a P&L curve now of like, you know, if we go back to the detailed section here, is simply because I'm not able to properly upload my trades. Like if I'm able to do that, I can easily show like the P&L curve now, like since last summer. Detail, the win loss, like okay. As we mentioned, like the small drop off here, right? Like the only reason I'm not able to share this is because I just don't have the data. Like in import, like I can see how much my account went down. That's like pretty much it, right? Which is around like 7,000. You know, again, I keep saying like I haven't really like lost money. If we go back to the calendar, 7,000 is just one of those days in one of these hotter markets. 2024 January, this is their $7,000 day sprinkled somewhere here. Damn, it is so laggy. I see a 5K day here. 2K. Okay, there's a 7K day here, right? It's like this is the amount that I'm down this whole time. Like to put things in perspective, right? It's so I can come here and at least brag about risk management, all right? Like I can come here and say like, hey, like there are so many people who could have been in a situation like this that would have been down like, you know, 100K, 500K, a million, like blew up the whole thing and like maybe going short and like lost $1 million or something crazy. And even then, there's also still a how and a why, because that's really what's important, right? Okay, our OMA today, we took a biggest loss we took in like 3 months, pretty much, right? And we ask ourselves, why? Hey, did I like go off rails, get emotional? Did I break all my rules? Did I get tilted and emotionally compromised? Like, what allows me to like sleep at night and be so firm is that it's still within the realm of everything that I'm doing. You know, it wasn't like I'm down 60,000 because I got emotional and averaged down and added. You know, I didn't wire hundreds of thousands to this account to go crazy and just like break every rule in the book. But instead, hey, we had a trade idea. You know, we thought we could manage risk in a particular way. The stock completely destroyed us. We smile, we move on. We accept what happened, and then we tell ourselves, you know what, hey, you know, moving forward, we're going to be more careful in these types of situations, right? You learn from those kind of areas, and so you get into a place where, you know, it's like you take the lesson from the situation, the silver lining, rather than becoming a victim to a bad situation. That right there is what can separate you, because even there's even some traders out there, they have what it takes, right? Like they're so close to being great, but it's like sometimes that mental thing in those situations is what's like wiping away 2-3 weeks of good gains, because you let it get out of proportion and you go too hard on it, and you know. So that's not the first time, and sadly it's not the last time either, because it could be next week, it could be next month. What you hope is that it's at least spread out a little further apart as you're like making adjustments. But even tomorrow I could take a halt up. I could be in. So the worst halt up I've experienced I've had. I was in a stock, and I was green unrealized 60 cents into a halt up. I was already in it like 690. The stock goes to like 750 and halts up, and I lose $1 a share it resumes lower and just flushes out. You know, these things are gonna happen even so even when it's a situation that starts off A plus A quality, that can trigger people too. But in this field, when we sign the contract to trade, all of that is a part of the unwritten contract, right? The unspoken contract, it's all in the fine print. Like those days will happen. You know, not a matter of if but when, right? Just through the sheer variables of things that can take look at CIIT or CTTI, whatever the name of that ticker was, right? That went from 50 cents we showed earlier to $22. Sadly, somebody did go short at 55 with a 5-cent stop. Hey, if it gets back at 60 the highs, I'm covering this trade. And you know, for it could have been an experienced trader, it could have been a great trader, but in some situations it's like you can't really do much except just manage the risk as best as you can. So God forbid though, if we're ever caught in a situation like that, you have to manage, you have to think ahead, right? So even with your account, let's just say you made, let's say you made 100K. Let's keep the example simple. Let's say you made 100K in your career as a trader. You started with 25K, you know, you made over 100K, you got an extra 75,000 plus dollars in your account, right? You're at 125K, whatever. There's no reason for all of that money to still be in your account. You've already proven that you can make money with 25K. Why have, you know, especially if you're not taking on that kind of risk with sizing? You know, I get it. If you're trying to size up more and things like that, then obviously you'll need the extra cash. But if you're not utilizing all the buying power, the money needs to be put elsewhere. You know, it needs to be divvied up in X amount of ways and X amount of accounts, retirement accounts, this account, that account, IRA, traditional, 401k, this, that, and the next. Because God forbid you're a short seller and you're risking 5 cents and boom, thing goes to 22, your entire account, boom, gone. Margin called instantly in 5 seconds, which again, it's happened to somebody out there, whether they're a public trader or a private trader. The odds are is that somebody got their account liquidated or a couple people, you know, so there's always going to be risk, but you have to like plan ahead for these kind of things potentially happening. You got to be careful. So AGRZ, again, good to see it at least held up the VWAP there and that's curled up. So, you know, for those of you who are in a little bit of better rhythm in this stock, you know, there's still some opportunities. But yeah, in terms of the grand scheme of like where we are, we've had one loss. You know, one good day in a hotter market covers this entire like minus 7K that we're in. There, what I will say is that there's still the opportunity lost though, you know. First 15-minute candle to make the new high. But the real entry, I would say, was the VWAP trade. There could be double top, but maybe it pushes through here. But yeah, shutting it down. So if you're watching AGRZ, continue to lock in on this one. Maybe it gets up to 90 cents. It's possible. Hopefully it does for the sake of bulls and the momentum. Pastor, after a tough one, shutting it down.